Mm-hmm. Do you not like A Clockwork Orange? You seem to have some very strong feelings about it. What did A Clockwork Orange do to you?
It sucks.
It's a good movie. Well, it's a better book, but... James is trying to find movies that he wants me to see on the list. While we wait for people to roll in. A Clockwork Orange... What? A Clockwork Orange?
That's what it's called.
I didn't mind. I like the book more. Have you seen The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I can't really watch it anymore because I know too much, but it's a good movie. Live action Lilo and Stitch is coming out soon. Supposedly. You know what I want? But I also don't. Live action Encanto. I just love Encanto. That might just be me loving Encanto. You know what I don't want? A live action Frozen. I cannot iterate this to the world at a whole as much as possible, other than we do not need a live action Frozen. Thank you. We also don't need Frozen 3.
Did you watch Mortal Engines?
What is Mortal Engines? Like, it sounds familiar, but I genuinely don't know what that is. Me and James are really angry at the streaming services as of late.
Sicario? You watch Sicario?
No, that one I've never heard of.
Me neither. We should watch that.
What is it?
It's a Drew Cartel movie.
Okay, that was super helpful. Can you spell it?
Sicario.
What kind of movie is it?
It's sort of Have you seen Hot Fuzz?
I think so. That's the cop one, right?
The buddy cop with Simon Pegg?
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
My dad made me watch it with me.
That's a really good movie.
My dad made me watch some good movies. Indiana Jones, the trilogy. The OGs, not the new shit. Those were good. He made me watch those. I watched all of The Matrix. He made me watch E.T.
I made you watch Tucker and Dale vs. Evil.
Yeah. I think that's the problem, babe, is I watched a lot of your movies back in the early days. But I stopped with you at Twilight.
Put Willy's Wonderland on there.
That's the mute Nicolas Cage FNAF movie, right?
Yeah.
Willy, like Willy Wonka, or
yep, Willy. Willy's Wonderland. And throw Bottoms on there for fun.
What the hell is Bottoms?
It's a movie we were both interested in and never ever watched.
Alright, well, now I'm running out of room on the list, so we're done for right now. Awesome. We gotta work through some of these, and then we can add some more. And it's probably time to get started anyways. James is not happy right now. His abs
God,
lost.
what a fucking night.
It was a very long chore day, and he really hated the movie.
I'm so tired.
Good thing you bought yourself some ice cream. I feel like you deserve it after today.
Yeah.
Alright, are you ready? Are you ready for it?
Ow.
You're so tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny James. 3, 2, 1.
How many Disney Channel original movies are left on the list?
1.
Take it off.
No.
What is it?
The sequel.
Take it off.
No.
I'm not doing it again.
You have...
I will not suffer the indignity of watching another one of these garbage fucking college dropout movies.
Hey, the Dropout channel's really good.
They didn't drop out of college. Not all of them.
I was like, James says, I'm gonna preface this episode, speaking of which, this is CityWavesCinema. I'm America, that's James. We watched Now You See It, which is a DCOM, and those of you who didn't grow up in the 90s/early 2000s, that stands for a Disney Channel original movie. And James, I think I can accurately say, suffered through every single minute of this movie.
Every second of this movie was agony.
I liked this movie. This is what made me have a fascination with magicians. When I started watching Chris Angel was after this movie. I became obsessed with the Magic Castle and getting into it, which I never will because I'm not an actual magician. So, yeah. I hadn't seen it for quite some time, but I did rewatch it recently, and I didn't think it was as awful as you're saying. I mean, I thought it was a Disney Channel original movie. I also enjoy the 13th year where the boy turns into a merman, so...
You said so many words right now.
James has had a very long day, guys. Do you want to get this started so you can get it over with?
Okay.
Talk to us about this movie, Now You See It, which is different than Now You See Me with Jesse Eisenberg.
Now You See Me is a movie that is good, that is also about magicians.
It's a very good movie.
Now You See Me 2 is a second movie that is good about magicians.
Not as good as the first one.
Now You See It is a movie...
about magicians.
Kind of. No, it's a movie about reality TV. This is a movie about a reality television show produced by children, overseen by a lone adult.
They have mentors.
Yeah, but they're not to be trusted. Now, the premise of this reality TV show is a world-famous magician who owns the House of Magic.
The Magic Mansion.
Whatever. Wants to find the best kid magician in the contiguous United States.
Yes.
So they take children. These are like 16-year-old children.
Who have an interest in becoming like producers and things like that in the media.
Right, and they're going to have them produce this reality television show. I'm not going to get into the ethical concerns of child labor laws. Because their whole obsession is make sure the camera's always rolling. And if that is the case, in reality TV, that kind of is the case, you're shooting for well over 8 hours a day. Child labor laws in certain states are bad. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into it, but that is a concern. This is the film debut of Ali Michalka? Is that her name? Ali Michalka. Very, very talented singer. They forgot to give her a character that is, interesting or any direction on set, which I think is a disservice to Ali Michalka.
Okay.
Because she went on to be very talented in many, many ways.
Okay.
So her character, called Allison, is a pretentious, know-it-all, deeply annoying, puzzle-obsessed, wannabe television producer. They're all wannabe television people, so don't take that as a negative thing. They're children. Who will not, under any circumstances, get out of her own way or shut the fuck up ever. The movie could be a monologue.
It basically is.
Practically no one speaks the entire time besides her until the very end, when everyone speaks and she doesn't talk because she has to stand there looking at the sky with her mouth open. Ah, ah, ah.
It's also like a bit of a mockumentary because she's.
I can't tell if it's a satire or if it's just bad.
It's also.
And I want to lean heavily into it's just bad.
I mean, she's doing a bit of a mockumentary because she's presenting this footage as a documentary
About her time on a reality TV show.
Yes. Yes.
Right, so, and it's all a misdirection. The entire time. Ha ha ha, magicians. Oh, we're so good at writing. Ha ha ha.
Do you wish that was beer?
I would drink liquor straight right now.
Oh, wow.
Ugh.
Okay.
To begin, Danny Sinclair disappeared. This will be proven incorrect at the end of the movie, but that's how they want to sucker you in, is that Danny Sinclair, kid magician, disappeared after this TV show.
You gotta have a hook for your audience, I mean.
And we are also, based on the opening monologue, definitively sure Danny Sinclair exists and he is a special boy. Okay? These are the things we know. These are the things Allison Miller tells us as she looks directly into the heart and soul of the camera. What do we know? We know Danny Sinclair exists, he disappeared, and he's a special boy.
Stop saying
No, she said he was a special boy. She said it. She said it out loud in the movie. He's a special boy. Yeah, maybe I'm inflicting the words a little bit differently for maximum comedic effect, but she said he was a special boy.
Oh my god. I'm just along for the ride with you all because today I had to clean while James watched the movie because I'd seen it fairly recently. So I am getting all these live reactions right with you guys.
Now, a lot of my notes early on are questions I ask that are answered in the back end of the movie.
Okay. Such as?
With very dissatisfactory answers.
Got it.
Such as, why is this television show being produced by children? Because, first off, that's only kind of answered by the end of the movie. I still don't know why the show is being produced by children.
It's like an internship.
Free labor? Hell yeah. Those children, they're slaves.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is a Disney Channel original movie.
This is gonna be...
Slave labor is good, says Disney.
You can hear the pitch.
In 2005.
You can hear the pitch to, like, they put it out at, like, high schools, like, they put the flyers, right? It's like, get directorial experience, build your reel, become a real producer for, like, a couple weeks, like, during your summer, like, get your foot in the door in the media industry. Like, I can hear the pitch being pitched at a high school.
And people so being down.
Oh, 100%.
And you know what's even worse is what happens after that. So, they go, all the, like, kid producers from wherever, and the kid camera people, and those are the only kids. They go to the set where they're going to talk with the only actual adult producer, and she basically gives them a rundown, asks some questions, and gives Allison a chance to do the Disney Channel original movie protagonist special, which is to be as annoying as possible to everyone around her at all times. Now, she does this by caring too hard, which is just a grade A annoying thing to see. She cares so much about doing a good job that she shows everyone up out the gate, and on the one hand, good for her. If you're gonna do this and you care about doing this, you should probably know what you're in for. On the other hand, what if you shut the fuck up and let someone else answer a question one time? What if that happened? What if that was a thing that you could do and you were capable of doing?
This is one of these moments where I realize if we'd met at any other point in our lives, we would not be together right now.
Probably.
Because I was
I've had a deep disdain for people who are like this ever since someone told me I was like this, and I changed immediately.
I've always been a very know-it-all, has to prove their knowledge, like, show everybody up kind of person.
I was like that, I think, at a very young age, until someone told me I was like that, and I stopped that immediately.
I loved Hermione. Hermione was my idol.
Such a shit little kid. Oh my god.
She grew up great.
Yeah, she grew up great, but boy, did she start out rough.
You mature.
Now, the motherfucker who sits behind Allison Miller, Hunter,
Yes.
the other producer who makes it through the rounds of cutting of producers,
Yes.
that guy's a piece of shit. Because not only does he not give a fuck, he's annoying. He's got big douchebag energy. Tiny little wiener, frosted tips, in sync wannabe trash. Fuck you. It's not the actor's fault, right? This was 2005. To be like that was all the rage. So it's not the actor's fault that the character is getting skewered like this by me in the year of our Lord 2024. It's not his fault. However, fuck that guy, that person archetype, all the way.
The Chads, I feel like they're all called Chad.
Yeah, but that's a Chad who wears a sweater, which means he's a dweeb, which means he's a piece of shit. He thinks he's the shit, and he can't even be a dude about it. What a jackass.
So he's more like a Kevin, because I always picture the Kevins as like the preppy rich boy one.
Yeah, the guy you want to stuff in a locker? Fuck that guy. That guy should be in a locker.
But he won't be, because he's the one throwing his money around and making friends who will shove other people into lockers.
Right. Put that man in a locker. Allison loves to showboat, and it is to her own detriment for the rest of the movie, is that she loves to showboat, and she loves to know everything. And then we frequently, there's one note about it, I complain about it a lot, but there's one note about it where it's the first time we cut back to the Harvard dorm room bedroom where she is monologuing at us the events that we're witnessing. And she is like, it's not like I'm a know-it-all, or maybe I'm a little bit of a know-it-all. And it's like, motherfucker, you are exclusively a know-it-all. You spent the last scene and a half only being a know-it-all. You just evolve as a character, evolve. But we won't see her evolve. We simply will not, because she is one-dimensional.
There's not really a time for evolving in
a 90-minute decom,
which is longer than Corpse Bride.
Yeah, the Corpse Bride characters had more character evolution, even though they started well below the ground.
Literally, but
so
that was funny.
Here's how they go. After they whittle down producers to a final like couple of producers based on regions in the country. No, because they have more regions. I think they also eventually just carve one region out entirely.
Well, I guess no, because this is the second round, because she's worried about not finding a good enough magician to make it into, like, the final round. Because at the final round, there's only 3 producers.
Right, so they carve the country up into a couple of sections. And the southeast, Florida up into...
Virginia's probably
up into Virginia, but also out as far as Louisiana, because they shoot a bunch of this in Louisiana. That's her territory. She is the producer. That's her territory. They have a list of kid magicians that they have to go talk to. Her kid camera person Cedric, and their strange adult chaperone named Paul. Now here's where the movie gets a bit odd.
Oh,
because every pair of kid producer camera crew people has a lone adult chaperone.
Yes.
In no world does that fly ever. Where are their parents? You know whose parents we do see? Danny Sinclair. He might be gone, but we know where his parents are at. They're the only parents present the entire time. my parents let me do a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
in terms of travel and stuff like that.
Yes.
But it was never in such a small group with one lone adult man. It was in a horde. I did stuff with a horde of people.
She's a friend.
Cedric?
Yeah.
Has he mentioned how he's really, really, really claustrophobic and scared of everything and in general useless? The camera he carries, I'll admit it's 2004, the camera he carries is the size of his torso.
Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker can't do shit.
I think he's a pretty good camera person.
He does manage good footage.
Yeah, we see it.
Right, an adult man filmed that footage. For sure. Like a person who films footage for movies? Definitely. You think they let Cedric, the actor, film?
No, but I mean his character did good filming. Suspend your disbelief, James.
I refuse. From the moment they said the only kid-produced reality television show to air, I said, no. I can't suspend my and you know what? I would later be proven correct to not have suspended my disbelief, as it went above and beyond insanity.
I wrote a note down
Okay.
for later,
All right.
and I'm going to return to this moment.
To own me for not suspending my disbelief?
In episode 2, probably. I will return to this moment right here. I want everyone to take note of it. I wrote it down so that when James bitches about something later, I have this in my back pocket because I know he's going to say something about it because he said it out loud to me. So we're going to come back to this, but I want everyone to be aware.
My disbelief?
I want everyone to be aware that James is
I'm going to get got.
Is not suspending his disbelief enough that Cedric is filming these shots. Okay? Just everyone remember that. Okay? Okay.
Well, I'm trying to remember how I fucked up now.
Continue.
All right. So we get a brief montage of Allison and Cedric going around to a bunch of different kid magicians, and they're all fucking terrible. I mean, terrible. Not even succeeding tricks. At one point, there's a trick where this kid puts eggs, flour, and water or milk into a hat, mixes it up, and is gonna do a little swibbity swap cake on the head trick, and it doesn't work, and he just dumps cake batter on her head, and we have a shot of it dribbling down her face, and then it cuts back to her a second later, and she just spits out like a mouthful of cake batter. And I'm questioning how that even got in there, but we will see on multiple occasions throughout this movie they didn't really take a lot of time and consideration on their editing, so
The continuity's not great.
it's not great. Also, somehow the entire southeastern United States only has 10 contestants.
I'm sure there's been several rounds by this point. And
She very specifically says, this is our last chance. It's our 10th magician.
No, I'm saying, like, of them weeding out kid magicians. Like, I'm sure they've sent in tapes, otherwise they wouldn't have a list. Like, I'm sure that there's been several phases of the competition, just like there were with the producers, to, like, weed out contestants so that by the time each producer gets their list, there's only, like, 10, because they're filming this over the summer break, I'm assuming.
You know what would have been awesome?
Yeah?
If what you said out loud just now got mentioned or shown in the movie. They could have taken another 40 seconds and had her monologue about it in her bedroom, and it would have been more informational than I guess we only got 10 contestants. Oh no.
I just know how reality TV show competitions work.
That's great. I don't. I would like more information, please.
Watch more TV, please.
No! I choose not to suffer actively in my television watching. I choose to suffer in other ways.
I watch so much reality TV.
I play League of Legends. It's the same thing. Now, eventually, the merry band gets to Danny Sinclair's house. They gather all their gear up out of the car and they're going to approach the house. And we get a very, very on the nose shot of Paul, the adult chaperone, Paul, locking the car after they get their stuff out, right? Now, they head up, and Danny's been talking about it all week, and he's just a stressed out magician and all this stuff. And they get up into Danny's bedroom, and he's doing this fucking terrible pop the balloon, a dove flies out of it trick, and it doesn't work about 20 times straight. The floor is at some point littered in his balloon carcasses. There have not been any doves. He is in fact a bad magician. And they just have this big blow up argument right out the gate between Allison and Danny, as Danny is desperate to get on the show and Allison is desperate to get someone to be on the show, and yet they cannot get it together enough to work with each other. So that's just going to be how that character relationship is for the next hour of movie. So they eventually, Danny basically gets given up on. The crew leaves and goes back to the car. They open the back of the car. After a beat, a bunch of doves fly out of the car. They get it all on camera. And then they take the footage back. Some of it. Because it's a key plot point that we will come back to later, that we need to review the footage more. Please, God, just review the footage more.
Isn't it like a key?
Oh, it's like one of the most important things you can do when producing a thing is to watch the footage. Because if shit's fucked up, you are on the most capital time crunch to solve that problem. So if you don't review the shit, you had better be right that it's fine.
Maybe they did review it, but not as thoroughly as they do later.
Well, that's the thing of it, right? Because Danny gets on the show because of the dove trick.
Yeah.
So at some point, the executive producer, the one lady, and Alex, Michael, fucking William, I don't
Max?
know. Nah, that guy. Yeah, the magician.
Got it. I was like, Max, I didn't know who you were fishing for.
The discount Christopher Lee.
He really is,
Oh,
though.
man. I didn't peg that until, like, the end of the movie, and I was like, this movie would have been a million times better if it was the exact same cast with Christopher Lee. Because Christopher Lee would elevate everyone around him, and the guy who plays Max made me annoyed. And I bet you could convince Christopher Lee to do a Disney Channel original movie in 2005. He'd probably sign on. He had just done the Star Wars prequels. He'd be down.
Bet if Tim Burton directed this movie, he'd be there.
If Tim Burton did it, it would have been fucking Johnny Depp in the role of Max. And he would have been just a little weird guy going around doing little weird sorcerer shit.
Maybe this was their Disney's first attempt at the Sorcerer's Apprentice before they did the Nick Cage one.
Woof. The Sorcerer's Apprentice was a decent movie. I recall saying it was good, but woof.
Yeah, you actually enjoyed that one.
Hunter's a little wiener. Now, we move from this whittling down round to the transport to the final round, in which Danny and Allison are on a bus or a tram or something with the remaining two producers, the remaining two magicians, and the adult chaperones.
And the camera people. Don't forget the camera people.
They're also there. And Allison is loudly, I mean practically shouting her strategy and plans to get Danny to win the competition. And Danny is sitting there wishing she would shut the fuck up for one moment. much like I did for the majority of the movie. And once again, it's not a knock on Ali Michalka. She's fine. It's a debut movie. She's a fine actress. She's a marvelous singer. This is a terrible script with a mediocre to bad director whose direction to her must have been communicated via cue cards and sign language or some other way that she didn't understand. Maybe. Or maybe it was like, hey, be loud and obnoxious the whole time. And then she was like, okay, can do. And was loud and obnoxious the whole time. I don't know. But I know if you're on a bus with all the other contestants you're competing against, don't fucking be that loud about your strategy on how you're going to kick everybody's ass. That's like rule number one. What's the number one rule of Survivor? A reality TV show. Don't trust nobody.
I thought you were really looking for the tagline, and I was like, I know adapt is in there.
Adapt, survive, some shit.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Who
Now I gotta know.
This show's been on for an eternity.
I used to love Survivor. I have a buff. I have a Survivor buff.
From one of the actual seasons?
Yeah, from Palau. It was my favorite season.
How'd you get it?
My mom bought it for me for Christmas, or for my birthday. You used to be able to order them.
Oh, that's cool.
Online. You might still be able to. I haven't watched Survivor in years, but when I was really into it, yeah, you can order the season's buffs for like your favorite team, like throughout the season. So I had one from Palau, and it's blue, and it was my favorite season.
That's pretty cool. They pull up to the Magic Mansion, and Danny proves that he is not aware of what's going on and is also rude by standing in the doorway of the bus and not letting anyone else off while he observes the Magic Mansion, and it's just like, oh.
The Survivor tagline, in case anyone cares other than me, is outwit, outplay, outlast.
Great.
Sorry, carry on. Odd at the Magic Mansion, yes.
Just so many notes about how everyone that's on screen is annoying. Danny's a dick to other contestants. Holy fuck, she doesn't stop. I can't tell if this is a satire of reality shows or if it's a serious thing. Oh man, Sinclair is also a piece of annoying shit like Allison is. Yeah, because at some point, Danny is just rude to everyone around him all the time.
We get an explanation for that later.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't get an explanation for why he's such a dick.
It's because he's trying to keep people at an arm's distance so that he doesn't hurt them or get them sucked into the void with his powers. He's trying to control himself.
Spoiler alert. Danny's a wizard.
Or sorcerer. Or warlock. Depends on what you want to call it, really.
In this movie about magicians, bog standard, pick a card, any card, magicians. The surprise twist is magic is real, and it's being gatekept by one old, fucking annoying wizard.
Yes.
It's kind of like real magic. Anywhere that Merlin's involved.
Yeah.
Only Merlin has lore, and Max is just a reality TV show host.
Merlin was a Slytherin.
Danny is sort of antisocial and doesn't want to engage with anyone all the time, and Allison never once stops talking long enough for him to explain why. Not that he cares to explain why, but she doesn't give him room to explain why. And this is a comment on the script itself. There's not moments to breathe. There aren't any moments to build tension. There aren't moments where something happens or is said and there's a beat where people take in the information. That doesn't happen. The movie is operating at a breakneck pace, clawing its way to its own finish line as fast as it can, as though it too has been forced to watch it front to back at normal speed. It can't go faster than itself, though, but man, is it trying. But there's no beats. There's no time for Danny to explain anything. Even when he starts to want to explain things, he is not given an ounce of room to do so. We believe Danny improvs his magic because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Is this from the... Are you at the first trick
The first trick is an example of there not being an ounce of decorum amongst anyone involved, which, if we're being honest, is about how reality TV shows work. I've watched over your shoulder as you watched every godforsaken episode of the Jersey Shore.
Family Vacation, specifically. I already watched Jersey Shore back in the day.
Yeah, well, I've seen that a little bit, and I am so intimately aware that on the set of a real reality TV show, there is not an ounce of decorum amongst anybody, and everyone hates everyone at all times. So that's just about bog standard. What this movie was lacking was a bunch of Guidos throwing ass.
I don't know if you can say that.
They call themselves that. It's New Jersey. It's not even a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, New Jersey's not real.
Oh.
The state of New Jersey.
Okay.
That's not real. That's a figment of our imagination.
Is that why everything's legal in Jersey?
Yes.
Got it.
It's not real. It's what's called the Garden State, and it's made of mostly garbage dumps. That's not a real state. My sincerest apologies to our listeners in New Jersey.
Do we have listeners in New Jersey?
No. Not gonna now. Burned that bridge before I walked across it. I don't want to be over there. Now, Danny does magic, but it's magic, not magic. And in doing so, he violates the rules of the first trick, which is to use specific props exclusively.
You get a broom,
a basketball, a piece of rope, a 10-gallon fish tank, and a sheet.
Yeah, you get 5 things, and those are the only things you can use.
And so Danny oopsies his way into getting himself a reduced score on his first trick by using too many props. Because that he manifests snow.
Yes.
And I have to side with Hunter, the kid who shall be stuffed into a locker. Danny does break the rules here, and therefore should receive a reduced point total.
I agree.
Then they make Danny clear the stage, as though they don't have a stagehand working.
Which we know they do.
On this show.
Because we've seen them in multiple other
Right,
parts.
we see stagehands all the time. And somehow, when the executive producer comes around and is like, all right, clear the stage, make room for the next trick, Danny's the only person who does anything. And that results in Danny being the fucking fall guy for the next trick also. In which Brandon, a piece of shit magician, who is maybe actually the most talented actual magician who's there, except for the real magicians, who are not magicians, they are sorcerers. And you know what? They can't be wizards, because wizards learn magic via learning.
They also have wizards have like a channeling device, like a wand or staff.
Right. These people have to be sorcerers because they can manifest their power via something.
Also, Brandon looks a little bit like a Kmart Jesse Eisenberg. Like a really young Jesse Eisenberg. To me, which is funny, because Jesse Eisenberg was in that other movie about magicians.
You mean that better movie?
Yeah, Now You See Me, which is different than Now You See It.
God, this movie is agony.
The first trick, Danny's helping out Brandon with the first trick. You were talking about Brandon.
Now, very early on in my notes, and by early on I mean note number 29, I say at the end of Brandon's trick, okay, so we're gonna have to just believe confidently that Danny does actual magic. And I am so frustrated that I guessed the plot that early. So Danny does actual magic to Brandon's trick, in which Brandon says he's gonna do some bullshit, and then he disappears right in front of Danny's eyes behind the sheet, and reappears on one of those spinning wheels that people go on, and then people throw knives at the spinning wheel, right? And it's just spinning around and spinning around and spinning around, and he's over there going, ah, 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 oh, oh, ah, ah. And that's kind of his only lines for the majority of the movie.
I mean,
so,
he yells about costumes at the end.
Oh my god, he has a meltdown.
Longest pause in CityWavesCinema
I got
history.
so lost in what the fuck I was writing. I think I just started writing thoughts frenetically, rather. I'm sorry. So, Allison is such an annoying piece of shit.
Well, because doesn't she, like... Are you thinking about when they come back down later to look at the stage?
Yes. Not only does she come down to search the stage for a trapdoor, because she's like, this can't possibly have happened, which is correct. This can't possibly have happened. She can't find one. She and Cedric scurry away, just to reappear moments later to surprise Brandon and Hunter, who are also out there looking for a trapdoor because they can't believe it happened either. And she, instead of just hiding and gathering information, comes out and is like, fuck you guys. And they're like, fuck you. What? And then she leaves. She doesn't. It's like when they wrote the character, they didn't write motive for anything she did. They were just like, and then she'll do this, and then she'll do this, and then she'll do this. It's once again, I fucking come back to the Matt and Trey theory of writing so frequently since I watched the clip and it burned into my retinas, that if you have something happen, the next thing that should happen should be directly caused by the first thing. Logically. And even if you're applying magic to the situation, you can operate based on the rules of magic. So things should happen. The next thing that happens should be directly caused by the first thing. And what she does and her decisions she makes from the start of the movie on are not founded in logic, reasoning, consecutive thoughts. They are driven only by what I can assume to be a repeated mantra in her mind, which is find the puzzle, solve the puzzle, find the puzzle, solve the puzzle, find the puzzle, solve the puzzle, find the puzzle, solve the puzzle. Get her a goddamn Sudoku book!
She probably has one. She probably has like 10.
Maybe she'd shut up and do a puzzle for once, instead of trying to invent new ones to do. She makes people into puzzles.
Don't you also kind of do that?
I don't make people into puzzles that I need to solve. I think of people as people with deep, intricate lore. And if they want to reveal it, they will. I don't go around and needle people like, give me clues to solve you. I want to solve the puzzle that is you so I can move on to another person to annoy. That's the character. Why? It's not entertainment.
My arm hurts now.
Apologize for poking you.
You poked me so hard.
Well, what if you would just share your deep lore with me? I know all her deep lore. if you would just share the deep lore, then maybe I could find someone else to annoy with my deeply annoying character trait of only wanting to solve the puzzle that is Danny.
Do you want to stop here? Or do you want to keep going?
I'm not halfway through my notes yet.
Okay, I thought you only had 48.
I have 89 notes.
Oh, carry on. We're on like 30.
We are on 30.
Carry on. So, the first trick's over. Now what? They did their investigation.
They do some investigating into how to get into the bowels of the fucking mansion.
Well, because isn't the second trick about, they, like, each get assigned a magician and they have to perform that magician's, like, most famous trick or whatever?
Do something. I don't know. They get assigned a magician and then that's kind of it. And so, yeah, Danny completely ignores Houdini, which is the magician he was given.
Which is a really good magician for him.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, for Danny, those two go together really nicely. Says someone who enjoyed the movie.
So now, I just have a note that says Danny being completely unbothered with being the best magician will move the plot forward now. And that is technically true.
Probably because he's not preparing for his trick at all.
Yeah. They got bats underneath the house. It's a problem. Cedric is a big whiner baby. Now, we come to some plot holes. There is, in the basement of this house, after solving a snake puzzle and finding a blueprint of the house, they need to find a carving or placard that is the same symbol as the book spines and deal with it from there.
You sound insane.
Oh, do I? Do I sound insane?
I know
They don't explain anything.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I've seen the movie, but if you haven't seen the movie, you just sound like you're spouting nonsense.
This movie is nonsense. Bad. Deeply bad. Super flawed. Written by a madman. Would you like to know an interesting fact about Allison?
Yes.
She can read made-up languages.
Oh?
Yeah. Because when they find the carving in the wall in the shape of the book spines in the basement through some corridors, it's got a language that vaguely appears to be Latin, but isn't Latin. And would you like to know what happens? She looks at it and goes, "Hey, let me read that out loud for you."
How do you know it's not Latin?
Maybe it's Latin.
Maybe she can read Latin.
That would have been a fascinating thing to know. You know how you could do that? How you could tell me that she knows how to speak Latin? A dead language that people do not speak?
I know how to speak Latin.
Yeah, can you have a conversation with me in Latin?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
You could read some Latin.
I can read Latin.
I can read some German.
In pictura est puella.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Puella nomine Cornelia.
Awesome. Tell Cornelia to get a better language. So Allison reads that. Would you like to know a way that they could convey that Allison knows how to read? Let's say it's Latin. Latin.
Yes.
In all of the set dressing that they did to her Harvard dorm room, put something in Latin in there. You could put the same sentence in Latin in there. Actually, I think that's a really good idea. Because then, you as the viewer, if you catch it, probably on your second or third watch through, if you're a maniac like you are, and you watch DCOM movies more than once, you would see it and you would go, hold on a minute, isn't that the thing that she reads later in the movie? In the past? And it would be a cool little thing for the audience. But this movie was made by a mega corporation desperate for cash.
DComs make me happy.
That's good. Did you like to know? Would you like to know? Would you like to know another interesting fact about one of our characters?
Did I want to know?
I'm going to tell you anyway. Danny can open any safe in the world.
Oh?
Danny opens the safe to the hidden room in the mansion by just fucking with the dial a little bit.
He's a sorcerer.
Sure, he's a sorcerer. And what has his sorcery done to this point in his life? It has stolen him a skateboard. It has put a bully in a tree. It has manifested snow and put a basketball on top of a broom.
Put doves in a car.
And it put doves in a car.
And made that guy disappear from the stage to the wheel.
Right. Now, based on Danny's explanation of what he was thinking of when he made things happen like this, what he thinks is not exactly what happens. Typically, it's adjacent to what he's thinking. He didn't mean to steal the skateboard. He was thinking about how cool it would be to have one, and then it was under his feet. He didn't mean to hang a bully in a tree. He just wished that that guy would, and I quote, get lost. And then he was in a tree. Danny has no true control over his own powers, so you cannot sit there with a straight face and tell me that before he even knows he's a real sorcerer, he used his wild magic sorcery to unlock a vault that later closes and will be unlocked by Allison and or Cedric later in the movie. Not once do they have a combination. Danny just fucks with it like it's a ship wheel on Steamboat Willie. Shaking it left and right. And bada bing bada boom, a vault opens that rivals the ones in banks. And you go into the vault, and you know what's in the vault?
Books?
Some. About 15 million candles that are currently lit.
Magic.
You know what screams danger to me? A room I had to break into that has actively lit candles by the 100 in it. Someone lit them, and they could be around, and I'm not supposed to be here. Danger, not a thing to these children. Children, must I remind you. Now, upon entering the Chamber of Secrets, trademark, they find nothing of importance, really. Did they find anything in there? I don't recall, because Cedric walks in, goes, hey guys, what's this? And turns another dial, and it's the dial of teleportation. Now, if you walk into a room and just start fucking with stuff, you should be put in a locker.
What is up with you putting people in lockers?
I'm a bully today. Hunter, captain of the douchebag committee, that guy should be in a locker. Cedric, the little whiny baby man who touches things he shouldn't touch, shouldn't be in a locker as long as Hunter should be, but he should go in the locker for timeout. Do not touch things you do not know what they do.
I'm really sorry to anyone who's listening to this with headphones or in their car right now.
They must suffer as I have suffered!
James has literally been yelling for like 20 minutes straight, and I'm sorry.
You did this! You put this movie on the list!
I didn't vote for it!
No, it was those motherfuckers! The ones who listen!
And are here live on alternating Saturdays.
Suffer!
Follow us on social media to know when we go live so that you too can be in charge of choosing the next movie.
So Cedric turns the dial that teleports people. And it teleports the trio back to the library where they go, oh, Well, that's convenient, and no one questions anything. And then they have to go get ready for the second trick?
Yeah, because they fucked
Yeah.
around the entire time and
Yeah.
didn't get anything ready.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Danny's second trick?
I don't fucking remember what he did. Oh, he made the mechanical bull appear.
Yes.
That was whatever. How many rabbits did they fit in that hat? For Zoe, one of the contestants whose name has not appeared, as she is such a bit character.
She's only on screen
She's
for
on
like
screen for
10
maybe,
minutes. Maybe.
Not even. I think she's on screen for about 4 minutes. And she rolls up, and for her trick, she pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and then she pulls another rabbit out of that hat, and then she pulls a third enormous rabbit out of that hat. And you know what? I read in the trivia. Besides the special effects trick, which is the scorecards that Max pops and floats around.
Yeah.
All magic tricks performed in the movie were performed by the actors themselves. So they did learn some sleight of hand. They learned some good and honest magic, and that's cool as hell.
That's really fun.
It's a shame it got wasted on this plot. So they really did pull 3 big fucking rabbits out of that hat. One rabbit was bigger than the hat. Good job. Good job. Good job at your sleight of hand. Good job. There, the movie gets some laurels. Good on you guys. That's pretty cool that you did that. Well, I just wrote, bro, you suck at magic, I think. And I think I wrote that about Danny's trick.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I'm going to make a 10,000-pound elephant. Haha, it's not an elephant, it's Brandon in a costume. And also Hunter in a costume.
I wonder how you got them to agree to do that.
I have no idea. Because you know what I would not do if I was Brandon or Hunter? Let that happen.
Yeah.
No shot am I going to be the fucking go-to guy to help you out. We have stage hands, bro.
You have a team.
You have a producer. Make Allison do it. Fuck's sake. So Danny does some twirly bits with a sheet, and a mechanical bull appears with Brandon flopping about on top of it, and he hangs on for a good amount of time. We're talking a 30-second ride here on an actively bucking mechanical bull.
How many seconds did you stay on the bull?
I went for 1 minute and 7 seconds.
Nice.
Which came in third at the competition.
Yay!
I was bested by an actual athlete and my boss who may or may not have bucked Broncos. It's unclear. He may have. I'm not sure about it. I do know that he's ridden mechanical bulls before. Now, I wrote douchebags wear sweaters in Disney movies, and Hunter is a douchebag. A great joke. One of the only jokes actually in the entire movie that made me laugh a good laugh out loud was when they were talking about things that cannot be explained post Danny's trick.
Because aren't they fighting about whether or not he should be in the competition at all?
Yes, everyone's arguing about things being unexplainable and things not making sense, and people start naming things that cannot be explained, like the Loch Ness Monster, blah, 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 and Cedric pipes in and goes, or like Donald Trump's hair. And that had me cackling, because in 2005, it's a funny joke. In 2024, it's one of the funniest fucking things I've heard yet. That man was the president of the United States, briefly. And that man is currently trying again, as of this recording, to be the president of the United States a second time. And you know what's still unexplainable? His motherfucking hair. It is explainable. It's a hairpiece that's glued to the top of his bald, fucked up head. Oop. Not Ope. That man is a cartoon character in real life.
Cartoon villain, specifically.
Now, that is it for now, because the rest of this is going to go pretty quick. So we're going to cut it there, and you guys can take a break from suffering.
Maybe go like outside, listen to some outside noise, like calm your ears.
Go to a sauna or something. I'll be back to scream at you later.
Do a flotation tank, sensory deprivation, something. We will see you next time. Alrighty. Well, James has told me that he hates Allison more than Tina. Does he need water? Alright. I'm gonna get your vote up. New Perry Popkins. That's not the letter I need. Mamma Mia 2. We've got the new Haunted Mansion. And a personal favorite from my childhood. Sad as fuck. The Iron Giant. Alright, we will be right back. Enjoy your poll. We'll see you soon. This is a good choice. This is a good choice. This is one we had planned to do in October, but we just didn't have time. So this is exciting. Wah, wah. Complain about my movie choices all you want. Gives you good content. I guess I should end it now, huh? Alrighty. Listen, sometimes the worst movies get you the best content, i.e. tonight. James is putting Aries' bed back together because Aries was upset, and then he will be here. As much as he doesn't want to be, he will be here. Would you like to know what is next? We're gonna watch the new Haunted Mansion.
Okay.
With Owen Wilson.
I heard it was good.
The bassinet looks great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you immensely. Aries would like to play. I don't think Aries has made many appearances on the YouTube channel. He's a staple from the Twitch streams, but... Alright, babe, you ready? You ready to get this done with? Ice cream awaits you at the end. We're gonna watch the new Haunted Mansion next time, which will be a good one. Yes, no, it's correct. You did good. What happened?
I banged my toe.
Don't do that. I've also had a very long day. And I'm in a lot of pain. To let everybody in on the knowledge, we will no longer be washing our cars in the driveway. James thought it would be better. But it turned out that was a lie. I feel like you used to be able to put your phone there.
Yeah, the amount of times that the keyboard's moved has really altered the way the desk is.
Would you like me to stop moving?
Yes, please. If you want, I'll put the little keyboard that I was given for Christmas specifically to solve that problem into the computer. And it'll just be the little keyboard. I can put it right there. That way you can do your TFT games and flop all the way across the desk. And well, you can do your big long loungings where you put your feet up into the fucking stratosphere and flop all the way back and just you can do it like this, you can flap back and you can play.
May I remind you my neck hurts?
You can play.
Thank you.
You with your keyboard, your mouse hand just daintily flexing about. This is how they animated the thing from
the Addams Family?
Yeah, that's it.
James, are you okay?
No.
You've got to finish.
Everything's out of my brain. I don't know anything. What if we just never make a second episode?
Nope. I have to be proven right. Let's go.
What if we just never record
3,
an episode 2? We just go straight to the first episode of the next
1.
Well, tragically, I didn't die between the first and second recordings.
He did ask if we could never do a second episode, like literally before I clicked record, though. So
No, I said, what if we never do the second episode?
isn't that what I just said?
No, I didn't ask that we would never do a second episode. I said, what if we never do this second episode?
It's the same thing.
No, because what if we have to do sequels to other episodes? We always do 2 episodes per movie.
Exactly.
Because we're unhinged creators.
That's why we're doing...
Welcome to CityWavesCinema. My name's James. And that's America. We're going to talk to you about... What's the name of the movie?
Now You See It.
Now You See It. A Disney Channel original movie. Came out in the year of our Lord 2005. The debut of Ali Michalka.
In movies.
This movie fucking blows.
In movies. She was acting in Phil of the Future.
Yes, she was in Phil of the Future. Now, Allison...
Yes.
does not understand Danny at all. He has not had a moment to explain himself and his motives for what he's doing and why he's doing it. So it's not entirely her fault that she doesn't understand him, but she is still treating him like he is here to win the competition. After he has very pointedly not given effort to any trick, nor has he cared to do anything related to bog standard magic at all the entire time. So he doesn't want to be here for TV, and she just can't get it through her character's big dumb skull. Now, in the case of everyone against Danny, Max decides he's going to bring in a panel of experts in debunking fake debunk. He brings in a bunch of assholes who sit on a panel and talk a bunch of shit.
Skeptic Society. They're skeptics who are here to debunk any unnatural phenomena.
Except for one who is there desperately hoping there's some unnatural phenomena.
Yes.
So there's a scientist, there's a therapist, and there's a medium, I think.
And Max, who's the head of the Skeptic Society.
Max, if we recall, is also basically a sorcerer.
And the head of the competition.
So he sits in front of the panel for approximately 30 seconds before they all get fed up with him. And he answers every question they ask in that 30 seconds exactly how he's supposed to. And they all get annoyed with him, which is very terrible. And then Max set him up for failure by having that chair that he sits in be a clever illusion chair that lifts him up and makes him float before coming back down, which he then debunks in front of his scientist friends as being an illusion. And Danny will not get any answers, and no one is surprised. Then he decides he wants to get out of there, and Allison chases after him.
They have a fight because you kind of skipped over that he did, right before that, reveal to Allison all the backstory.
Right.
About him having powers and...
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be really honest. I wanted really hard to have the plot in my notes, but it's so miserable, the experience of watching the movie, that I didn't actually get plot points down as much as I got visceral reactions to plot points in my notes. And most of the time it was, God, I wish you'd stop talking. Or, why are you walking so fast? Or, why is any of this happening at all? And I'm sorry that I did not get the plot points down the way I wanted to. And as a result, I have misled the audience. But this plot's so fucking bad. I mean, it's just without merit at all. And yeah, Danny eventually does get to tell Allison that he's got sorcerer powers, but he doesn't understand it, and he's here looking for answers. And then he goes in front of the panel of skeptics, and he can't manifest a power because even though he explains that he doesn't understand how any of it works, it is just assumed by everyone around him that he can control everything perfectly. Now, Allison basically has a fight with him because she assumes he lied to her, which is a stupid fucking assumption. Because all he did was be a little bit vulnerable about how scared and out of control he feels, and she sees him get lifted by a chair one time and goes, "Oh, so you're a big fucking liar."
Yes.
And that's just that's not how. That is how people are. That is not how someone who is trying to be your friend is. And so far, she is claiming to be trying to be his friend. And it's just not. Fuck, she sucks. She sucks so fucking much. And then I don't know. I wrote, "Shut the fuck up. You don't have a right to be mad about anything." And I don't fucking know why. I don't know why.
That's because after that little fight, we jump back to the monologue in the dorm room where she's like, "From that point on, Danny and I were going to be only about the show, and that's it." And then we cut.
And then it's a because it's a haha funny cut to her being like really obsessed and mad at Danny
and scribbling on all
shit about the show
and scribbling on all his pictures. And Cedric, the camera guy, is like, "Shouldn't we be like getting footage? I don't know, doing our jobs." And she's like,
"I'm just so mad."
She's like, "I can't right now." And he's like, "Oh, you're still ticked, I guess." So.
And she talks about having a right to be pissed at him.
Yeah.
Which she simply doesn't have. By the rules of conversation and the rules of social engagements, she does not have a right to be pissed at him about anything. Not a thing. She does not have a right to be mad at him about anything. And so then they decide they're going to do the very, very smart thing and check the footage.
Why are they checking the footage, James?
Fucking, I don't know.
Because she's going to prove that he is a magician and not a sorcerer, and prove that he put the doves in the car to pull off that first trick.
Right, so they frame by frame the shot that Cedric got of the opening of the trunk. And wouldn't you know it, in one frame, there are no doves. In the next frame, there are 3 to 5 doves in midair in the trunk of the car. And I lost my fucking mind. Because her whole character deal is being obsessed with being the best producer on the show, right?
Yes.
That's her whole thing. She just wants to be the best producer. She wants to make the best television. And she's getting her wish in a way she doesn't want, but she's trying really hard to be the best producer.
Yes.
And this is the first time she is deeply reviewing footage. We know they've seen some footage of that dove incident because that's how Danny got on the show. But this is the first time she and Cedric sit down to rewatch the footage that they got a week or more ago.
Yes.
At Danny's house in Pensacola.
See.
You cannot be a serious producer if you have not watched what you've got. Now, on a regular set, it's not exactly the producer's job.
No, don't you have like a video review?
It goes back to, the director of photography is going to rewatch, his assistant's going to rewatch, the second director of photography, or the assistant director of photography is going to watch. They are different people. The camera guys are probably also going to be watching. You might have a executive producer in there. But more often, you're sending dailies back to the producers when you're shooting a show or shooting a movie. And what a daily is basically a supercut of the best of the stuff that you shot that day. And that's getting put together throughout the day by probably a PA or someone who knows how to use Adobe Premiere. Or maybe the actual editor. Just depends on the production and the budget. But on a big like television set, you're definitely having dailies sent back to the executive producers so they can decide how they want it to be. And in this case, very clearly no one is producing shit, and no one knows what the fuck is going on or what they're doing, and that sucks so bad.
They are kids. They're supposed to be learning.
Yeah, they're supposed to be learning. And you know who should have told them that? Everything I just said?
The one
The one goddamn executive producer whose whole stick up her ass is making the magic show good.
Yes.
She's a bad producer too. The kids are bad, but it's because they're kids. She's bad, and there's no excuse. I hate it. Okay. Now, Allison stomps around to try and find Danny because now she's like, holy shit, he really is magic. Because,
I was wrong. I'm the asshole.
Right, well, she doesn't say that or admit that or cop to being an asshole. She's like, holy shit, I gotta find Danny.
That is true. It's implied.
She doesn't have any growth. She just wants to go find him. Now, Danny is in with Max, and they're having a conversation, and it is revealed to Danny while they're in this room that he is a sorcerer. And Allison is in an adjacent room with a camcorder, filming this whole interview through a grate in the wall, like a perfect little fucking scoundrel reporter.
Maybe she'll get a job at TMZ.
That's where she belongs. What she does from this point with that camcorder is nothing but dumbassery. But she is going to get footage of this interaction. And in this interaction, Max basically tries to teach Danny how to use and control and manipulate his power briefly. And in doing so, they have a conversation about he not only needs to believe, but he also needs to focus, but he needs to believe and he needs to focus, but he can't stop believing and he needs to keep focusing. And it's very unclear what the fuck exactly he's supposed to do to make anything manifest.
Well, if we take it from Onward, one of our favorite movies about magic, he has to do all of those things.
And believe from his wizard's core.
And speak with his heart's fire. Very important. That's a much better movie. I'll even admit that. You should go watch Onward if you haven't seen it. It's a great Pixar movie. Made me cry. Almost made you cry. It made you cry?
Yeah, it made me cry.
It's a rough one. It's so good though. Go watch it. It's good.
Now, in contrary to that, we're going to have a 15 frame per second tiny armored suit fight.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
I rewatched it, but I watched it on my phone while I was doing chores, so I wasn't like intently looking at it, and also my phone screen compared
it's the size of a phone screen
compared to our TV screen is a lot. And I was watching it with you today, and I was like, because we were having some issues at the beginning with like it lagging a little bit just from the streaming, and so I was like, is it bad because the lag, or is it bad because it's bad? And the answer is
it's bad because it's bad.
It's so bad.
It's really bad. Basically, there's these two suits of armor that are maybe a foot tall that are decor on this table. And Max and Danny are going to use their sorcerer's powers to have a little sword fight between these two little guys, right? And so they're having their little battle, and you can see those two doing their magic and wiggling back and forth and moving their hands like magic users do, and doing their thing. And meanwhile, the swords and the suits of armor are moving at like I estimated it to be around 15 frames per second because there were moments where you'd watch the people behind them move fluidly and they would like be locked up in mid animations and then they would jump and move and it was really really shitty looking.
The worst stop motion you've ever seen. I know it wasn't stop motion, but it looked like the worst stop motion you've ever seen. And I like thinking about this. This was 2005, right? That means we've had Halloween Town.
Yep.
We've had Xenon. Like we've had some really killer movies, but I'm thinking specifically of Halloween Town just because of the amount of special effects that are in Halloween Town. And this is what you guys put out?
The budget for this movie from Disney was 4 Snickers bars and a Kit Kat. And everyone just volunteered. Now, at the end of the conversation, Max tells Danny, put this ring on. It will help to dampen your powers so there won't be any unexplainable incidents. And we can work on honing it later. But this will help you to get through the finale of the whatever, right?
Be an actual normal magician.
Right. So this makes Danny feel seen and good. And this is an adult manipulating a child for bad intentions. What the fuck, Disney? What the fuck is that shit?
Don't trust every adult in your life.
Don't trust any adults in your life. Especially your heroes. And also, he can make all your problems go away. How? With a perfect magic device that does exactly what the plot needs it to do and nothing more.
In more ways than one.
What are the rules of the ring, America?
The rules of the ring. The real rules of the ring. Because it's... spoiler.
Danny is lied to. What are the real rules of the ring?
The person wearing it will have their powers, like, absorbed by another person through the ring. The person can't take the ring off by themselves. Someone else has to remove it. And it basically nullifies your powers until you die, powers get put into the ring, and then someone can take your powers with that ring. Is my understanding. Did I miss something?
No, but it does a lot of skipping steps. Basically, you're right. He can't take it off himself. The ring stops him using his powers and siphons them to somewhere. And it will not be explained how Max will absorb these powers, although Max, in his evil villain monologue that he does after Danny leaves, to Paul, the trusted adult chaperone.
This is why my children will never be going
with any adults ever.
Random adults. James is right, really any adults ever. Without us. Sleepovers are a thing of the past, people. Watch your kids.
It's bad to do evil monologues, okay? It's just bad.
His monologue really bothers me. It's probably the most bothersome point in this entire movie, other than the sword fight. Well, because it's just so... I'm saying this so that the person that I don't know that is there in the grate can hear these things and know the plot.
It's an unending cavalcade of non-helpful information that he is sharing.
And the sentences are so broken up so weird. Like, it feels very shoehorned.
It's like it ticks the box for every villain monologue. He says exactly what his plan is, how he could be thwarted, how he won't be thwarted, verifying his ego, and implying that he is going to kill Danny.
Yes. So that he can have the power. So
Allison freaks out. And at this point, there's 25 minutes left in the movie. And I paused it. And I turned to America and I said, the only thing she should do right now is go with that camcorder directly to Danny to show him what she just recorded. And that wouldn't be out of the ordinary if this was of fucking sensible production. If this reality TV show that they are filming inside of this movie was sensible in any way, it would not be out of the ordinary for people to go over footage. And what does she not fucking do?
She tries. She's stopped by Paul. In her defense.
She doesn't try very hard.
No, and then she leaves the camcorder in her room the next day instead of taking it with her.
Yeah.
When she goes to talk to Danny.
She minimum efforts showing Danny this footage in favor of trying to explain the situation to him
Badly.
as poorly as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's not great. She doesn't ever say once that she heard Max say, he's going to kill you. The ring absorbs your powers. These are the things I actually heard. Here's my camcorder that does have a screen, and even I know back in 2005, because my mom had them, you could watch a little bit of that footage back on the tiny screen from memory.
Yes.
And
even if it doesn't have one of those screens that flips out, you can put your eye back to the goddamn thing and rewatch it from there. I have camcorders that do that in my office.
So, like, she never, ever, until, like, the very last point of the movie says, no, he's trying to kill you. Like, she dances around it for so fucking long. Like, says everything she heard, but that.
She waits an extra long time to even be like, you can't take that ring off.
Yeah.
But, and it's like, if you're Allison, you know at this point that Danny is comfortable with the situation and he likes the way things are. He tells you as much the very next time you see him. So what you don't want to do is everything you do next. What you do want to do is bet him he can't take it off. Goad him. He's not going to take it off voluntarily. He's not even going to try because it makes him feel happy. It makes him feel safe. So you need to get him to do it as a point of pride or something. And when he can't get it off, you prove that you know things. It's the most tangible way to prove you are correct. He gave you a way to prove you're right. Beyond the footage. Beyond that, the way you prove you're right as Allison is you try to get him to take the ring off. And he can't do it. All you have to do is try to get him to take it off himself. And he won't. He won't do it. But she doesn't try to get him to take the ring off.
No.
She doesn't do that until after she leaves town and then comes back.
She doesn't do anything correctly in this last portion.
She's so fucking useless.
Like, she doesn't say any of the correct words at all. Ever.
I have 4 notes in a row about how much she sucks, how the whole plot is based on her being bad, how the future of the movie hinges on her stopping being bad, and how she continues to suck. She makes every wrong decision in the book. Even when she goes with Danny, she convinces him to go with her to check the footage, right? And you know what they do instead? They go find the executive producer, and she says, Danny's a real sorcerer, and Max is too, and Max is trying to fuck with Danny.
Yes.
And Danny goes, she's clearly out of her mind.
Instead of, hey,
I'd like to review some footage if that's okay.
Yeah.
She could even be in the fucking room. Hell, Max could be in the fucking room. He doesn't know you shot the footage.
Yep.
And as long as we see him do it, as long as he doesn't touch that footage, you got him dead to rights.
Yep.
So you know what she does? She outs Danny in public. Danny goes, well, that's fucking crazy, and you've cemented my hatred of you now. Be gone. It's so many unforced errors in a row, it's unnatural. It is such a poorly written script It is that many unforced errors on a character's behalf in a row. It cannot be serious. The Disney execs who greenlit this, the guy who wrote it, the people who directed it, the editor who must be cast into the fiery pits of hell. The whole kit and caboodle is, they should be a fucking shamed about the concept being somewhat decent and how bad they bungled it. You know who shouldn't get shamed for it? An actor. Why should they take shit? If I'm familiar with the Disney process, you show up, they tell you how it's going to be, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
Based on child actor stories, I don't imagine that the actors on the set of this movie had a lot of wiggle room like Ryan Reynolds does when he makes a Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
I imagine they probably were sitting there going, really? Or maybe there was more that was filmed. Because that's an option. Maybe there was more that was filmed that wasn't dog shit. Maybe there were explanations to things that were filmed. And eventually it goes to the editor, and the editor gets told, you have to make this 90 minutes. Because it has to fit in a programming slot on Disney Channel. Because you know where this movie's not going? A theater. Not going to go to a theater. It's going to go on a programming block on Disney Channel. And it'll run 4 times a week for the opening release. So you have to cut it down. And from there, it's the director and the editors fuck up and the executive producers fuck up that make it this disjointed, god-awful garbage piece of shit. How long's High School Musical?
It's a minute 38, or a minute 38. It's an hour 38.
It's a little longer.
It is a little bit longer.
Maybe 8 more minutes of footage would have been good.
James, I did ask him while we were watching this, like, okay, how does this compare to Xenon? How does this compare to...
Xenon is so much better.
Halloween Town? How does this compare to High School Musical? And he only said that Now You See It sucks.
Every other Disney Channel original movie I've watched has been better than this one.
You even watched The Descendants, and
The Descendants is way better than this one.
Yeah.
The Descendants is on an echelon of High School Musical.
Yes.
Where it is so good it could have been in theaters.
Go Kenny Ortega.
Wow. Maybe that guy should be the guy who does all these movies.
Okay, if he did this movie, it would have been a musical, though. And
yeah, and you know what? Maybe it would have been better.
I don't know about that.
It would have had a timeline that made sense. So Allison gets banned from the mansion for being a little piece of shit.
I will say now, too, sorry, just while we're still briefly on the topic of Disney Channel movies, they have upped their length of movie significantly.
Oh, yeah?
Descendants is almost like a full-length feature film. It's 2 hours.
Good for them.
It's an hour 52.
I mean, Disney Channel programming blocks are 30 minutes. You can make your movie an hour and a half, or 2 hours.
True.
Those are your time slot options. They could have made this a 2-hour movie.
It probably...
If they wanted to explain some of the stuff a little better and have some more character development, they could have made this a 2-hour movie. And it would have been infinitely better. But they didn't, so it isn't. And it sucks. And it's sad. It's sad that it sucks. Because it's Allie's debut. And they couldn't fucking pull something good together for her. And that's a shame. So Allison skips out of town and goes to a library after having an internal monologue about how she actually does care about Danny and wants to make sure he's okay. And goes to a library to look up the other magician whose powers Max stole and what actually happened to that guy.
His mentor.
Right. And so she finds out that this guy was doing a trick he always does with a prop he always uses, and it didn't work, and the thing fell and crushed his skull and killed him, as we see a picture of him in an open casket with a totally fine head that is not crushed, with the ring on his finger, right? And so then she's like, oh, I gotta get back there and save him. And now we've made it to the final trick, which is going to be done in front of a big old studio audience in the mansion, and everybody's parents are going to be there. It's going to be this whole big thing, and it's the first time Hunter has done any actual work. And Max has a bunch of lines, and he's being menacing the whole time. And it just reminds me of like Christopher Lee, if Christopher Lee was like really hooked on meth instead of a man who killed Nazis. Now, we will not explain how Allison gets into the mansion, but it's the oldest trick in the book. It's the fake delivery Trojan horse.
Literally.
And we will not be explaining how she managed to pull that off, but she does get in there. Brandon has a whole fucking costume meltdown, and he wears an ascot, and it sucks, and Allison sucks. She's bad at everything, and the secret of the House of Mirrors is to just be in there, and you can escape anybody. Zoe's back in the movie. I forgot about that. She does a trick.
She only shows up for trick time.
Hunter's a big fat narc, and he goes and tells Max that Allison's in the house. And then Allison finally gets Danny alone and brings the flimsiest amount of proof possible to his attention.
And still doesn't say anything.
She manages in the moments before Danny is going to be killed to tell him Max killed his mentor using that ring.
That's it.
That's not proof. That's not proof of anything. That could be a lie. You don't even have the picture of him. You're going on blind faith. What? It's so bad, I can't. My brain is rejecting the whole thing. It's trying to scrub it from my mind. All she does through the whole movie is piss him off and frustrate him. Now here's where the editing starts to really fall apart. There's a conversation that they're having where they're arguing back and forth, and it ends with Danny saying, "I won't do it." But that line wasn't recorded in the scene because they're arguing, and then Danny says something that we don't hear. His mouth moves, and we don't hear what he said. And then it stops moving, and the line, "I won't do it," plays from his voice while his mouth is shut. And he's looking away, and then the scene ends. And we cut to another scene. And that's fucking bad. Bad. Bad, 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 bad. ADR is hard. It's not that hard.
We tried to do it. It's really hard.
It's hard, but you know what you definitely can't do? You can't ADR in the line, "I won't do it," on top of a closed mouth. That's bad. That's like what we did our freshman year of college bad. Bad, 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 bad. Bad, 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 bad. This is Disney motherfucking Channel, dude. You cannot be this bad. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Now, after that ADR debacle, Danny's parents are there and they're unenthused. But that doesn't last for very long because every time we cut back to Danny's parents, Danny's father is standing and he's marveling at what he's seeing. And then in every cutaway, he points to someone near him that we don't see. And he goes, "Do you see that?" Every time. Why? It's like a rinse and repeat. Now, there's a shitload of crowd noise in the background for the 30 people that are in this house. There's like amphitheater levels of crowd noise. So that doesn't make any sense. Now, Danny's final trick, he doesn't even know what he's going to do because Max is going to do it for him. And the plan is they're going to bring in this 1,000-pound piece of lead, and Danny is going to lift it up over his head and float it. Oh, pardon me. He's going to float it over his head as the trick, and I guess he's just gonna trust that Max is gonna do the actual magic and take care of it, right? So that means Max's plan is to drop 1,000 pounds of lead on a teenager in front of everyone.
Yes.
What the fuck? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is this?
I mean, then he, like, died in an accident. Wasn't anybody's fault. Trick went wrong. Just like the mentor.
To do it in front of his parents, upsetting. Now,
I bet it was the same trick, because the mentor also had his skull crushed in. So I bet that 1,000-pound, 1,000-pound thing of lead was his old mentor's prop.
it could be. Now Danny gets it over his head with the help of magic. It floats there. He takes like 3 bows, and then eventually, Max lets the weight fall. But instead of falling like a normal weight falls, it falls like a giant block of styrofoam that's been carved and stylized and painted to look like 1,000-pound dumbbell. Falls, very slowly, and with enough time for Allison to yell, "Look out, Danny!" For him to be looking up at the weight, see it, be startled, and leap to the side so he is not killed. And then it smashes through the stage. Max is doing a bunch of showmanship to make it seem like that was supposed to happen, blah, 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 blah. Tries to get Danny to do another trick, and they're arguing back and forth. Danny now understanding that this is a very serious business. There's an edit where they're like arm around each other, very close to each other, shoulder to shoulder, and then there's a cutaway to a little farther camera angle, and they are like at arm's length with each other. Really fucking bad at it.
It was bad. It was jarring. It was really jarring. Because they were having like this intense thing where like Max was like, this boy right here he's ready for his next trick, blah, blah, blah. And then like, whoop. It was rough.
So now, we asked the question, we saw everyone else's tricks, and they were fine magic tricks, but Max was never on stage this much helping those contestants. And if I'm the other producers or contestants, I'm like, hey man, what the fuck? Why are you spending so much time helping this loser?
Or even like parents or anything like that. It makes the competition feel very unfair and rigged.
I mean, it is unfair and rigged, but it's like being upfront about it.
Yeah.
So then Cedric wheels out Allison again in the Trojan horse magic box. And she's in the box, and Max walks over and is just like jamming swords into the box. You know how it works. You've seen the magic tricks. And Allison's just in there like dodging swords. And then they open I'm scrubbing his name from my memory as we speak. Yeah, Danny goes over and he's like, Allison, and he opens the thing and she's not in there, and he shuts it and he's like, oh, what the fuck? And then she's like knocking on it and he opens it again and she's there, hooray! And then they pull the swords out, they have a little conversation, and all this time she should be taking the ring off of his hand, and she's not, and he's not talking about it, and they don't do anything useful. And then they're standing there, and he puts his arm behind his back and she pulls the ring off of it and puts it in his hand, and then
he pockets it.
Yeah. And then Max pops Danny up into the air and spins him like a top on the ceiling. And it's this whole big thing. The audience is wowed. And then Danny gains some semblance of control over his own magic, and he's shouting at him, and he rockets at him somehow through bad special effects, and he's holding the ring in his fingers, and he's gonna stick it on the guy, and he sticks it on the guy. Pardon me. And then he disappears. Max disappears, and Danny is left, and the movie ends with a happily ever after between Allison and Danny, which is cheating us out of the whole first part of the movie where Allison pretends to not know where he is.
Are you not going to talk about like the big reveal that she was the one who cut together like this whole documentary and everything? And
it I don't know. It feels stupid.
Why does that feel stupid that she cut together the documentary?
I mean, I guess it doesn't really, but you know what? It doesn't feel stupid. It feels meaningless.
Okay.
It feels meaningless because the rest of the movie was so bad that this cool concept of a mock-you documentary inside the movie is just wasted.
Now, for the record, when you were watching this in the bedroom earlier, you said when she revealed that she cut together all the footage,
Yeah.
you said that's why it's so bad. Is that correct?
Yeah, because in theory, then she would have done all the editing.
So, in theory, when Cedric filmed those scenes, he also was responsible for filming those scenes and that footage. Is that correct?
I guess you could say so. He's a pretty unobservant guy, as we see through his background acting for most of the movie.
So, how can you suspend your disbelief to believe that Allie cut together the movie, but that Cedric was incapable of filming those amazing shots?
What?
You said you could not suspend your disbelief to that Cedric filmed those amazing shots. You said those are specifically filmed by an adult, but you did say that you could believe that Allie cut together this movie.
No, I'm saying on the set of the movie Now You See It, everything was shot by adults.
Yes, but we're supposed to believe that Cedric shot those shots. Just like we're supposed to believe.
I don't have any problem suspending my disbelief that Cedric shot those shots. I was making a point that the movie was made by humans who are adults.
That's not what you said, though!
Well, I guess I'm just Allison then, aren't I?
What?
I don't know, you tell me.
Okay. James has officially lost it. I think this movie has fried his brain. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up here. James.
0 out of 10.
Is Allison your new least favorite character in a movie that we've watched? Has she replaced Tina officially?
No one will ever replace Tina Goldstein because I had to watch more than one movie with Tina Goldstein in it. But if there were 2 sequels to Now You See It, and this character, Allison, did not grow at all, she would be worse than Tina Goldstein.
There you have it, folks.
Tina Goldstein is worse by volume.
There you have it, folks. Our next movie voted on will be the new Haunted Mansion that just released last year, but like within the same calendar year. So we will be watching that next time. Thanks. Bye. For those of you who are watching at home right now in the live stream, sorry that we suck. It's been another hell week. James is prepping to go to California next weekend.
Ugh.
The illusion.
It's not a set, it's a bedroom. Panic.
So we've been trying to get ready for that, and we've had some family drama going on. So like I said, I cannot promise anymore that things will be on time, but I'd like to try to believe that they would. Speaking of on time, due to family coming into town, that's why we did 2 weeks back to back of CityWavesCinema. We probably won't get to record another one for a little bit. So, I mean, James is out of town next weekend. We have family in town the weekend after that. Not the weekend after that. That will be our next one, so 2 weeks away. But uploads should not be affected, so... In fact, James is going to put one out as soon as we're done.
Oh, am I?
Here.
Okay.
We just haven't put one out today. Because I forgot to put it on your chore list. So yeah. That's that. You should take a Benadryl.
I just did.
Okay.
Sorry, Green Gorilla. No hell divers for me tonight. I got other stuff I gotta get done.
He's got to help me with my pain. More importantly, I don't know what else he has to get done, but my pain is at the top of my list.